Hello, thank you for joining my channel. If you're joining us for the very first time, quickly click on the subscribe button. Welcome to Estic Media, where we say things just as they are and it's all encompassing. So, Ghanaians are saying that Nigeria must go. They're talking about prostitution, ritual killings, and all whatnot, and they're blaming Nigerians, specifically the Igbos. Now, what happened? I think a few weeks ago, a video surfaced of 2013 of an Igbo man who said he wanted to establish an Igbo kingdom in Ghana and buy or purchase 50 hectares of land. However, he dumped that idea. It didn't fly. But that video came up. So some supporters of this administration decided to reach out to the bloggers of Ghana, say that they should be careful of the Igbos, that they like to dominate, blah, 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 and all of that stuff. And then that was how this whole propaganda became something very huge. They now even join the Ghanaian spaces. If you're on X, there's what they call space, where people have conversations from all walks of life. You don't necessarily need to know who. You just join the space and listen to the conversation. They joined Ghanaian spaces and they were denigrating the Igbos, saying that the Igbos were this, they were that, they like to dominate, that they're a problem in their home country. They were just saturating all forms of false, narrative and making the Igbos seem like it was really terrible. So sometimes you think these things end on social media, but these people don't think of the consequences. But I think this time they know of the consequences of their narrative because people actually take what they see on social media for real. And that was how this hatred propagated. Before you know, the Ghanaians started coming out and complaining that they want them to go. But the unfortunate thing is that in a foreign country, they wouldn't ask if you're Igbo or if you're Yoruba or if you're Hausa. You're a Nigerian and we don't want you. This is what we think and we don't want you anymore. So that was how that whole thing gained rancor. The Ghanaians are saying they have to leave, but the federal government has responded and told Nigerians living in Ghana to be careful, that they're already handling the situation, that they have a good diplomatic relationship and they are working on resolving the imbroglio, and telling the Ghanaian government that any one of them they catch who is into such vices, they should use the law and deal with them, but they shouldn't just generalize that it's all Nigerians that are involved in crime. Now, let's go into, again, this conversation came up because of this is the political era, so a lot of politics is ongoing. Now, for example, there's a major storm brewing over a fresh proposal to amend the 1999 Constitution. So if you do not know, 1999 Constitution review is ongoing. There are a couple of things that they think it's important to be renewed. And so there are several review committees from the different geopolitical zones, okay? So there is a proposal to amend the 1999 Constitution to allow all elections in Nigeria to be conducted on the same day in 2027. Now, while leading opposition parties, the PDP, Labour Party, African Democratic Congress, and New Nigeria People's Party have thrown their weight behind the move, the ruling All Progressives Congress have rejected it, warning of dire consequences. So the proposal is being spearheaded by the House of Representatives Committee on Constitution Review, chaired by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu, and it's being considered as part of a broader constitutional amendment following zonal consultations across the 6 geopolitical zones. If passed, the amendment would mandate the Independent National Electoral Commissioner (INEC) to conduct presidential, governorship, National Assembly, and state assembly polls in a single day. A move touted to drastically cut costs and reduce post-election bandwagon effects. Now, backing the initiative, the National Publicity Secretary of the NNPP, Ladipo Johnson, argued that same-day polls will be both cost-effective and efficient. He said the cost of elections are too high, just like those of governance, and any reasonable thing to reduce costs should be looked at, even for the political parties. It is cheaper and more efficient for them. On concerns over rigging, Johnson dismissed fears, saying if these people are going to rig, they will rig. But if you have all your elections in one day, for the political parties, it is cheaper and more efficient, and that all the candidates are able to pull together resources so that the polling unit is properly manned. The Labour Party also gave its full backing. Now, you know that in 2023, if all the elections were held on the same day, do you know that Rose Vival would have actually won the elections? Rose Vival would have been the current governor of Lagos State if this bill, as it is being proposed, if it is reviewed, this part of the constitution is reviewed, that is how the 2023 elections would have been. Rhodes Vival of the Labour Party would have won if elections, everything was done on the same day. You wouldn't have Babajide Sanwo-Olu. So Again, for the PDP, the deputy youth leader, Timothy Osadolo, welcomed the idea but warned against manipulation. Now, the ADC, through its National Publicity Secretary, Bolaji Abdullahi, also declared support, but with a caveat. Our support for doing the election on the same day is contingent on INEC's logistics being top notch. At the moment, we don't see any evidence that INEC is committed to improving its logistics. Abga also said that not all stakeholders are convinced, but that the All Progressives Grand Alliance want that the logistics could also be chaotic if everything is done on the same day. So lawmakers are also split. Northwest Caucus leader Sada Soli, APC Katsina, backed the bill, describing it as an idea whose time has come. But Osun lawmaker Oluwole Oke disagreed, insisting it's INEC's prerogative to decide which dates to conduct elections. Lagos lawmaker Babajimi Benson also added that he strongly believes that this decision should be included only in the INEC Act so as to make amendments easy. This proposed amendment in the Constitution may make it very difficult in the future. So the APC formally opposed the proposal, describing staggered elections as the better option. The Deputy Organizing Secretary Nze Chididuru warned to hold the elections on the same day puts a lot of pressure on the institution that is governing elections in Nigeria. And so that was how they weighed in. The lawyers also weighed in, especially a former director of voter education at INEC, Uluwole Osaze Uzi. He condemned the plan, recalling that a similar attempt in 2003 was rejected by the courts. Now, that's not the only thing, An ex-Labour, an ex-APC lawmaker, yes, or ex-APC House of Rep member, is actually asking Peter Obi to allow President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to his 8th year. He says that it is a turn of the South and that he should drop down and allow Tinubu to do what he needs to do. He believes that if Tinubu is able to be given the time, that his policy amendments, everything will work. That all Peter Obi needs to do is to support the president's initiative that it was going to be better for the country and that it is a turn of the South. So if Peter Obi decides to contest, that the votes will split. So he says that Peter Obi should, as much as possible, be very prudent in his approach and try as much as possible to back President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's ambition. This ex-lawmaker was begging Peter Obi, said, drop your ambition, shelve your ambition. It is a time of the South. And if you're part of it, that the votes will be split. Also, you know that now there's a jostling for INEC chair because he's to exit in October. So nominations are coming from all quarters as to who will be the next INEC chair. But Nigerians believe that the president should stop being the one to select who becomes an INEC chair, or all those nominations and what region they come from or whose region's time should be chosen as INEC chair should stop. That a civil society organization, a set of persons should represent different groups for Nigeria, whom they think an erudite person will be chosen by the people as INEC chair, bring that institution is very sensitive in deciding Nigeria's future, all right, in our democratic practice or in our democratic tendency, that it is important for that institution to be objective, to be rid of bias and sentiment, that the last election did not do that institution any good. Anyways, these are some of the trending stories that took the airwaves, as a couple of persons are asking Peter Obi to step down. Some persons are saying he should back up Atiku and be advised. Some persons feel that he doesn't have the capacity or the capability. Some other persons also think that if he runs, that it would affect the Southeast. I don't know. And I don't know why it's Peter Obi that everyone is looking at and talking about all the time when there are other candidates who have put their heart in the race. I don't know why Peter Obi is a subject of conversation on the mouth of all the politicians. Ali Modishari came out to say that he has first-hand information that Peter Obi will join the PDP. How will Peter Obi join the PDP? With the current state of things in the PDP, if the big wigs have left the PDP, the moneymakers have left the PDP, a lot of them have even defected to the ADC. So how do you now join a party that Wiki is still part of, and you think they will give you the presidential ticket, and then you think he would just agree to go? I don't know, but these are basically the conversations. So what do you think? I'd like to know what you think on the comment section. Bye for now.